Hello everybody and welcome back to LMM, and if you're enjoying what you're seeing on the channel at the moment, how about giving this video a like and maybe subscribing to the channel to help us grow, and perhaps even check out our Patreon. Today I'm unveiling my brand new car, and to do that I wanted to go somewhere special. So I've come to one of the most spectacular parts of the entire United Kingdom. Welcome to the island of Skye. A land full of breathtaking scenery where mountains reach up to the clouds and then down to the sea. But most importantly, a place full of some of the most incredible roads that I have ever driven on. Many of you watched the video I did last year on the MG ZS and how much I love that car. And if you haven't seen the video, I recommend clicking up there and giving it a watch, because what follows will make an awful lot more sense with that in mind. So go watch that now, I'll just check out the scenery. Anyway, one person who did watch the video got in touch with me and asked, "Do you really love the MG ZS that much?" Well, says I, yes, I think it's one of the best handling, best driving and most spectacular cars of all time. Well, they said, I think you should have one. So this is Milton, my brand new MG ZS, and to say that I'm happy about this would be the vastest of understatements. The ZS is regarded as one of the best handling front-wheel drive cars. It's absolutely phenomenal. The way that it steers, the way that it holds the road, it stirs something deep inside of me. It awakens my inner hooligan. It's no surprise that reviewers back in the day referred to this thing as the Dragon Slayer, able to go toe-to-toe with the best that was coming out to Japan. This was a car that stirred the imagination of a whole generation. Admittedly, yeah, part of the max power generation, but it captured that imagination. This was a desirable car. This was a car that was on posters. An MG derived from a Rover 45. For the uninitiated, this is no Rover 45 wearing a fancy body kit, because shoehorned into the engine bay in here is the KV6, a 24-valve V6. Now, this thing is awesome. It is silky smooth. However, it is a royal pain in the backside to work on, and it really is shoehorned in there. Doing a simple job like the spark plugs is actually quite the ordeal, and something like the timing belt, well, that's a job that some garages simply refuse to do. And that's something I'm going to have to get to grips with in the not too distant future. So that's fun. But it is a wonderful power plant and it sounds fantastic. So I've done the history and why I love this car in that video, which you've all watched by now. So I'm not going to bother to repeat myself again. Instead, what I thought I'd do is I'd take this on a road trip through some of the most stunning scenery in the UK. And that meant I had to get on to the Isle of Skye. The plan was simple: from here on Skye, through the mountains down to the south, then a ferry to the mainland, down the wild, beautiful and rugged west coast, and then cut inland to Lochaline to catch another ferry to finish on the Isle of Mull, making this the first vehicle of mine to ever truly leave the mainland. And with a plan outlaid, let's go make a start. Because this is going to be amazing. On half the roads up here, the national speed limit is more than enough. But the way that this car drives and eats up the road is nothing less than simply amazing. This place is basically heaven. The most amazing, unspoilt, beautiful scenery, and a single ribbon of tarmac twisting its way through this incredible world. It's basically perfection. Sky is amazing, absolutely stunning, on every single corner, on every single hill. It's a place that never fails to impress, and it's a place that changes in the blink of an eye, from the sun and the golden light to the bleak and powerful storms and rain that batter this land. It's magical, ethereal even. It's a place that makes you believe in dragons flying high above the mountains and dwarves mining within. It's a place where fairies and pixies play. And if it wasn't a 9-hour drive for me to get to the bridge to enter this enchanting world, I'd be here every second that I had. The roads are a delight too. They rise and twist and fool their way through this world. They really keep you on your toes, because you never know that just round the next corner there may well be a car-killing pothole.
But even the risk can't stop the itch to want to drive more.
But all too soon, it's time for us to leave this realm and head for pastures new.
So behind us, the ferry is just docking, and I'm really quite excited about this. I've never taken one of my cars onto a ferry. I've been on ferries and I've driven other people's cars on ferries, but I've never actually put one of the cars that I own onto one. And I know it's silly to be excited by that, but I'm genuinely really excited by this.
To understand why my new car is so important to me, we need to travel back in time. Now, for those of you who have watched the video up there, I'll be repeating myself. But the long and the short of it is that JM & Cars and I used to own one of these cars. And whilst I loved driving it, I never really gelled with the looks. But this one downstairs, the facelift, that is absolutely glorious. It's kind of strange that my first ever trip on a ferry with my own vehicle has brought us back to the mainland. It's almost counterintuitive. And what happens next is a trip south down the west coast until we get to Lochaline, which would take us over to the Isle of Mull. And that ferry leaves in some 4 hours. So I guess we better get a wiggle on. As we head south down this frankly amazing road, it's time to address the elephant in the room. And that is, why is Tom no longer speaking to me? Well, the reason for this is twofold. Firstly, the overlap between the vehicles that Tom and I really love is quite limited. The list is dupes, the MG ZS 180 facelift, and that completes the list. Tom is very jealous of this car, so much so that he took it away and gave it a valet, so it looked stunning. And then I bought it here.
And now it looks like this, and he isn't best pleased. However, it is a car that is meant to be driven.
This is just a smile machine. You've got the perfect amount of power on tap. You put your foot down and it goes. There's plenty of power available and you get to use all of it. And as soon as you get over 3.5k, then you really feel the engine pull and you get to hear that wonderful exhaust note. It's brilliant. It's a lovely sound. It's not too loud, but it's definitely there, and it's angry. This car is just perfect. When you want it to be quiet and sensible, it's docile, it's almost sophisticated and just nice to be in. But then when you get out onto a nice road, you put your foot down and off it roars. It is one of the perfect you can only have one cars. You need something that you can have fun with, that you can enjoy, but also has 5 seats, a decent sized boot, something that you can transport people, a family around in. It's just brilliant. It's practical, but it still puts the biggest smile on your face on a road like this. And what a road.
And having driven down possibly the best road I have ever driven down, we've arrived in Loch Lomond, ready to catch the ferry to Mull. And whilst we wait, what exactly is my ZS? Well, this is the hatch version of the ZS, which is derived from the hatch version of the Rover 45. And I'll be honest, until I actually went to pick this car up, I didn't know that there was a hatch version available. And I believe it is the significantly rarer version of this car. And I absolutely love it. I think the hatch shape suits it a lot more because it gets rid of one of the things that I really didn't like about the saloon version of the ZS. I don't like that big shouty wing. It's a bit too standoffish, whereas this one's a lot more subtle. It hints at the power, at the fact that it's a performance car without being shouty. It also gets rid of that large area of just nothingness on the back because there's just not so much material. And of course, whilst I do like a car in blue, British racing green is the correct colour for a British car, and this wears it oh so very well. And they say you can tell how much you love a car and how good a looking car it is by if you look back at it after you've parked it. And with this, I look back every single time. So, literally driven on, came to a stop, the door behind has been brought up, and we're on the way. Haven't got out the car, been told to stay in the car. Don't know what's happening. To update my weirdness of it, so yes, we sit in the car, but also we're going backwards. So we've driven on, it's reversed out, and we're now, it's just a weird sensation, not to see the world go by, but to know that you're moving, you're certainly moving, but we're going backwards. It's a really weird, strange. One thing that is definitely new for me is the fact that I have never taken 2 ferries in one single day before. So this is a day of firsts. Not only have I taken my own vehicle on a ferry for the first time, I'm doing 2 ferries in one day. But also there's a sense of trepidation because whenever else I've gone somewhere, I've been able to get back. Like you go on to Skye, you drive across on the bridge. Going on to Mull, the only way to get back is to get back on a ferry. want to go places in. This is a car that I want to have adventures in. This is a car that is the perfect companion to go and have adventures in. It's the kind of car that if I wasn't driving it, I'd really wish that I was driving it. And speaking of going on adventures, this is the island of Mull, somewhere that I have never been before. So let's go out and have an explore. Mull is strikingly different to Skye or the West Coast. It's less populated, more barren even, and certainly more brutal. It's a wild, untamed landscape with few roads, and that it has are mostly single track with passing places. The surface is varied. There are some new roads with new tarmac, which is frankly glorious, and some older roads which are showing their age, but it doesn't have any car-ending potholes like on Skye. Lots of places have great visibility, which really allows you to get a wiggle on and enjoy the roads as they wind through this rugged landscape. And the views are breathtaking. Some of the best, I think, that I've ever seen from inside a car. However, the frequent blind corners and crests are a little alarming. That said, at this time of year with little traffic, it feels like I'm driving my own rally special stage, and I love that. And without pushing really, really hard, a comfortable speed around here is about 50 miles an hour. And to give you an idea of how slow the roads can be, my destination today is 32 miles away. And the sat-nav reckons that's going to take me an hour and 30 minutes. That's basically like driving in London. And somehow, I don't think that's going to be accurate. My plan for the day was to catch yet another ferry and head over to the Isle of Iona. The big thing about this ferry though is that you can't take your car on it. Only residents of Iona can put their vehicle onto the ferry, which in a video about the MG ZS seems like a questionable choice. However, there were plenty of things that I wanted to see on Iona, like this ruined monastery and this slightly less ruined abbey. However, there was the single most beautiful beach that I had ever seen. But then I wanted to get back to driving, so I boarded the ferry and headed back to the, well, not the mainland, but the bigger island, on a particularly choppy return trip. And then got back into my beloved car. As much as I've gone on about how wonderful this car is, as you'd expect, this particular example isn't perfect. There are a load of little faults that I need to get on top of. Notably, the floor in the passenger side is wet. And that's bad because that's definitely not meant to be absolutely squidgy wet. Secondly, the fan
constantly runs. I have absolutely no control over that. Sometimes it will respond, sometimes it just runs away on its own. And actually, that is infuriating. Also makes it quite difficult to use the demister because it will direct the air to the windscreen, but you can't actually get the fan to speed up. And then sometimes you're driving along happily and the fan just springs into full life on its own accord very loudly because it is just in the driver footwell. So that's annoying. And also, that's one of the things I actually dislike strongly about the facelift ZS. That control system in there is disgusting. I don't know what they were thinking on. They took away a lovely thing that had dials and knobs and replaced it with some computer-assisted rubbish. It's disgusting even when it does work right. The other thing that's a bit wrong with it is every single seal is noisy. As you're driving along, it sounds like a door or the window is left open, so I'm going to have to do the whole seals. And the sunroof, whilst it works, it is a bit crusty around the back, and unless you have the sun shield in, it just sounds like it's open. So the seals everywhere are fairly knackered. Oh, and yeah, as you can see, the clear coat is somewhat peeling in a load of places. But apart from that, it's absolutely brilliant. In here, there's a few more things that I neglected to mention. The clock is completely non-functional and the radio has zero reception at all, which means I can't keep up with what's going on Radio 4. The screw things which should hold the mat at my feet in place have failed, so that's all scrunched up, and predictably, the headlining is also starting to fail and fall down. Apart from that, it's great. Although the thing that really does annoy me in here is I have my window control here, but the other three are down here next door to the handbrake. And there are 4 spaces. The 4th one is for the traction control or the ABS, well, I think traction control. And I just don't understand that placement. Why on earth did you not have all 4 switches for the windows there? Because if you're driving along and you go, oh, do you mind just winding down the window? The person sat there goes, yeah, no worries, presses that, and suddenly you've got no traction control, off the road, into a ditch, you're all dead. It's just annoying to have one extra switch in a different place, and I don't know what MG were thinking when they came up with this frankly ridiculous concept. If it was mirrored and the passenger also had a control over there, it would make more sense, but just why? I love this car. I just adore it. It's one of my favourite cars of all time. And out of my personal collection, well, my Turbo MR2 has it beat to number 1 because that is a very special car. But this is a close second place. It's just phenomenal and I love it. And frankly, out of my own collection, I can't think of a better car to come up and experience the Highlands. I just don't think you can beat this. I love this car. I am absolutely smitten with this car. I am head over heels with this car. I am so happy to be in it and driving here. And when you are Unmole, there are many places to go, many amazing roads to drive and things to see. But there's one place I've always wanted to go, and that is the set of a popular British kids TV show. Now, this was before my time, but the song is pretty iconic. What's the story in Tobermory, wouldn't you like to know? What's the story in Tobermory, tell us and we will go. Well, actually, we're going to go to the ferry. Many of you will know that on my trip down here, I've gone past the route of the Jacobite, which runs from Fort William to where we came off from Skye at Mallaig. Now, I don't think it's even legal to visit this part of the world and not go and actually see the Jacobite, especially in these wonderful autumnal colours. So, from Tobermory, we're going to get another ferry and go back to the main line and go find the Jacobite. For those of you who don't know, the Jacobite is the UK's last regular mainline steam service. And it's not trains like this. Oh no, it's trains like this. The train easily beat us into Fort William, but we're in time to see it make its return journey. And as the Jacobite makes its way back to Fort William, that brings us to the end of this video, island hopping our way down the west coast of Scotland to reveal my brand new car. Let me know in the comments below if I'm right to love this car this much. And with that, thank you all very much for watching. If you have enjoyed this, how about clicking somewhere up there for the previous video I did on the MG ZS 180, or over there for the video back on JM Cars channel when we got rid of the one that we owned together, and down there I know for some other railway stuff. And with that, thank you all very much for watching, and a massive great thank you to the previous owner who was indeed right. I did very much need one of these in my life. And with that, I've now got a very long drive back down to Suffolk, but because I'm in this, I actually don't mind that much. Ta-ra.